Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever caught yourself wondering why you react a certain way in your relationships? Or maybe where your deepest drives for pleasure, joy, and even your creativity actually come from? Well, today we're decoding Swadhisthana. That's also known as the Sacral Chakra, the body's second energy center. By the end of this explainer, you're going to have a really profound understanding of your own emotional and creative patterns, and you'll learn how to actually master the energy that drives your passion. Okay, let's dive into this.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by looking at the entire human energy framework, and then we'll zoom all the way in for a masterclass completely dedicated to that second energy center. We'll cover everything from how it processes pleasure and relationships to what happens when it gets blocked and, of course, how to heal it.
All right, Section 1. Let's set up our foundation with the human energy engine.
So the word chakra literally translates from Sanskrit as wheel. But functionally speaking, they're actually these incredible junction points where energy pathways, which are known as nadis, cross over each other to form a triangle. Now, across your entire body, there are 114 of these junction points, but 7 of them are considered the major energy centers. You can kind of think of them almost like physical Wi-Fi routers inside your body, right? They're just constantly receiving and transmitting energy and vital information to keep your organs functioning.
Think about it like a car engine. If just one piece of that engine is out of balance, well, the other parts suddenly have to overwork to compensate for it. And eventually, the whole vehicle just begins to malfunction and break down. Your body's energetic system works exactly the same way. When all 7 of those major centers are perfectly aligned and balanced, your energy flows smoothly, you feel harmonious, and you perform at your absolute peak. But if even one of them is blocked, it throws the whole shebang off.
Section 2. Meet the Sacral Chakra. Let's zoom right in on Swadhisthana.
It's really fascinating how this works, but our primary energy centers actually develop sequentially in these neat 7-year cycles. So from ages 0 to 7, our only real focus is survival, right? That's the domain of the root chakra. But as we shift into that next cycle, ages 7 to 14, we enter the domain of the sacral chakra. This perfectly aligns with puberty, this huge explosion of new, intense emotions, and our very first explorations of personal desires and social dynamics that go beyond just getting our basic needs met. It is literally when our internal emotional processing center comes online.
Let's pinpoint exactly where this second center lives. The physical coordinates of Swadhisthana are right about 2 inches below your navel, sitting kind of near the sacrum bone. And because it transmits and receives an orange color spectrum of frequency, that's the color it's universally represented by in clinical aura breakdowns. Physiologically, it is doing massive amounts of work. It's deeply connected to vitalizing your kidneys, your bladder, and your reproductive organs. Plus, it directly interacts with your endocrine system by regulating the hormones of the testes and ovaries.
Section 3. We're moving into the center of pleasure.
Now, what's really interesting about this quote from the renowned mystic Sadhguru is how it frames this energy. He explains that if your energies are dominant in your Swadhisthana, you become a pleasure seeker. But wait, it's super important to understand that this doesn't just mean basic physical desires. It means you are someone who fundamentally wants to enjoy the world. You're stepping way beyond those basic survival instincts of just, eating and sleeping, and you begin living life with a much higher level of intensity and a real appreciation for the experiences around you.
Looking at this from a modern perspective, this center is basically the engine for your baseline passion and joy. The sacral chakra definitely governs our sexual energy, sure, but it also dictates our capacity for deep, vibrant joy and our positive associations with pleasure across the board. It is quite literally the seat of creativity. And that means way more than just birthing children. It's about expressing your unique genius, whether that's through painting a masterpiece, building a startup, or honestly just designing a really beautiful, fulfilling life. When this energy flows freely, you feel incredibly alive.
Section 4. Emotions and relationships. Let's see how it processes human connection.
So, the sacral chakra is deeply tied to the second layer of your aura, which is known as the emotional body. I want you to think of this as your personal emotional palette. Just like a master painter uses a palette to select their exact hues, this second energy center processes all of your feelings and gives you the agency to choose which beautiful, complex emotional colors you're going to use to paint your daily life. You get to decide. Do you want to pull from the bright tones of joy and trust, or are you pulling from the darker tones of fear and anger?
And here's the thing. The colors you choose completely dictate how you connect with everyone else. It's actually a pretty common misconception that the sacral chakra is only about romance or intimacy. In reality, it acts as a comprehensive relational record. It logs every single relationship interaction you have.
We're talking about those deeply ingrained dynamics with your parents and siblings, your friendships, your professional interactions with coworkers, and yes, of course, your romantic partners too. Every single relationship in your life leaves a distinct energetic imprint right here in this second center.
Section 5. Imbalances and the shadows. Let's look at what happens when things get blocked. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between a completely healthy system and a malfunctioning one. Just notice the difference here. A balanced sacral chakra radiates passion, joy, really healthy emotional boundaries, and a wonderfully positive relationship with creativity and sexuality. But on the flip side, a blocked sacral chakra becomes this heavy trap of shame, guilt, and unhealed trauma. You might experience a totally depleted libido, or conversely, a compulsively overactive one. You essentially stop feeling joy and instead feel this lingering sense of unworthiness, or maybe like you're just enslaved to your own volatile feelings.
In fact, when this center is severely imbalanced, it's actually known as the seat of addiction. See, when we experience trauma and we don't heal it, those memories get stored away, and they create massive energy blocks in this second layer. So instead of consciously responding to life, you start operating on instinctual knee-jerk impulses, like sudden rage when someone cuts you off in traffic. Because these negative emotions go unaddressed, they often outwardly manifest as compulsive addictions. That could be an addiction to food, to money, power, sex, or control. And at the root of all of it, a hidden well of shame.
Section 6. Healing the second chakra. Let's talk about how to fix this. Bringing Swadhisthana back into alignment takes some real patience and commitment. But guys, it is absolutely possible. First, you have to acknowledge and clear those root negative emotions. You can't just ignore unhealed trauma. You have to face it and reassign meaning to it. Once you face that, step 2 is committing to actively healing your broken relationships. Since this chakra records all of your social dynamics, mending fences literally clears those energetic blockages. From there, step 3, monitor your instinctual knee-jerk reactions. Start noticing what triggers your anger or anxiety and just take a breath. Pause before you react. And finally, step 4, work on removing the shame and guilt surrounding pleasure.
So the crucial point to remember here is that you hold the brush. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought. If your sacral chakra is your emotional palette, what colors are you choosing to paint your life with today? Are you consciously painting with vibrant joy and passion? Or are you letting unhealed shadows muddy up your canvas? Take a moment to really reflect on your own energetic state. Thank you so much for joining me today on The Explainer, and keep seeking that balance.